Hello, hello, everyone. I'm gonna give Zoom a minute to pull you all in. I just got back from Mexico yesterday. I had the best time with my family. Okay. Welcome to the Brand Alchemy Accelerator Open House. We're gonna get started. Listen, this program has been around more than 2 years. And I have never done an open house for this program, which is kind of wild because, like I said, we've been around for over 2 years. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, what could I do today that would really let you all feel the program? Like the closest way I could ever get you in before you actually join and become a member of the membership, right? And so there's so many things today where I have dropped in screenshots from the community and I've just redacted names and stuff. I've pulled coaching call timestamps. You're going to really be able to feel into the program in a way that if you've been thinking about joining us, but there's just some questions you have, listen, I took some time. I really you're really going to feel very dropped into what the membership is. And obviously I will stay on at the end to answer any specific questions you have. But this is I think there's some people that's they can just buy from a sales page. And then there's some people that are no, I'm interested, but I want to know more. And especially for me, even if I know I'm a yes, sometimes I love just hearing more about it, right? I remember there was a mastermind I joined recently and I just sat, they had a salon where she answered questions. And I think I probably watched that 3 times, right? Just to get excited about joining before I joined. So whether you're a yes and you already know you're coming or whether you're considering it, I'm going to really take the time to drop you all in today. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we? I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. All right, let's get over here. Welcome to the Brand Alchemy Accelerator. Here we go. Yeah, welcome to the Brand Alchemy Accelerator Open House. First ever. All right, so first of all, if you're here, you probably already know this, but I just thought it would be useful to set the stage of what a brand is, because I think most people, if they don't have a business background, they actually get confused about what a brand is versus what branding is. They think a brand is logos and fonts, but that's branding, right? A brand is kind of like the soul, right? It's your soul. It's the unique, recognizable thing that makes you different from everyone else. It's sort of like a fingerprint. It's what makes you stand out from everyone else in your industry. And so you could look at this in any sort of product category, right? There's brands that people identify as yes, I want that specific thing. And then there's commodities where they sell the product, but they don't have a strong enough brand. So they all have to compete on price. And I never want any of you having to do that. So we want to brand and be known in the marketplace, have a strong reputation, and have people coming to work with you specifically as quickly as possible. So in the Brand Alchemy Accelerator, we approach this holistically with 2 sides of the branding coin, because you're not like a corporation, right? Where it's this is what the thing is, and this is the logo, and these are whatever. This is generally what we want the business to be. We are people, and sometimes we're a little bit messy. And so even if we know our highest, fullest expression, a lot of people really feel this is a program where it's they're coming in connection with their future self, their higher self, and they're elevating to actually show up that way in the world versus they might have been told this isn't for you, this is going to be hard, or whatever the thing is, right? A lot of weird stuff can be in our heads. And so we start with the internal rebrand work, which is really elevating the way you perceive yourself, the way you value yourself, the way you value your services. There's a lot of people that are they can't even answer the question, why is it a no-brainer that people should hire you right now? And if you can't answer that, that's a big problem if you're a business, right? So we want to make sure that we get all of that done in the internal rebrand section, where you're elevating the way you perceive yourself. You're feeling super confident. You really know what your value is. And then we're doing the external rebrand work, where we're elevating your presence of how you show up to the marketplace, becoming more highly visible to best fit clients, and understanding exactly, right? I know how to attract in my best people. And that can be from your pricing, your marketing content, and every single facet of your visual branding, and we will cover that. So, brand is just the work of how energy takes form. So once we know what that is, that unique signature, what differentiates you, the thing that only you, that makes you valuable, why people want to come to work with you specifically, we then calibrate your pricing, your brand positioning, your brand content strategy, your visual design, your photo shoots, the office you work from, the clothes you wear. Like, this is when I say this is a comprehensive membership, it's a comprehensive membership, like no stone left unturned. So we're just getting clear on what is that, your highest self, and then we're creating a clear, conscious transmission of that into the marketplace through your marketing content, through your visual branding, all of that. All right, it is the ultimate identity program. So if you have a sense that you're like, I know that I could be, like, I feel like I really want to show up bigger. Like, I see people that I follow on Instagram and they're super dynamic and they're this and they're that, but I'm not allowing myself to show up that big. This is the program for you. And this is not just for beginners, by the way. I have had people at multiple millions join this program because they started to get into their head about like, oh, well, like this is how like people in the yoga world show up. So like I can't show up that way. And if I do this, it's almost like they had so much on the line, right? So like this does not, identity, you never stop doing the brand work, right? From zero, ground zero to multiple millions. That's the range that this membership boasts right now. We believe in who before how. So if you have ever been in personal development, there is a very common sort of principle, which is like you have to figure out who you're being before you're focusing on what you're doing. And the Brand Alchemy Accelerator is the how of your who, right? And once we nail your who, the how just becomes much easier. All right. And in this space, you completely elevate that from the inside out. All right, let's cover what's inside. You join the membership, what are you going to get? Let's cover the curriculum. So we talked about how we consider internal rebrand and external rebrand. So I'm going to walk you through even some of the modules so you can see inside. But from the moment you join the membership, you get access to a private member portal, right? You purchase and it auto triggers. Your login details will be sent to you literally like as soon as you join, right? So you will get access to that member portal with all the teachings, all the trainings, all past coaching calls, which I just always have to say with detailed timestamps, because I have been around the program block. And when I joined a program and it's like, oh, you get like all these coaching calls and there's no timestamps, then I'm just like, well, I don't know in these like 80 hours of footage, like which ones apply to me right now. So you can go in and literally see what people have been coached on. And I'll show you examples of that in a little bit, so that you know exactly what coaching you want to tune in. So it's like there's never even an opportunity for you to get stuck. There's just like, you're washed in too much support for that to ever happen. So you'll always know what your exact next step is to move your business forward at your fingertips, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, let's talk about what's inside the internal rebrand part of the curriculum, which is elevating your perception. We also say elevating your consciousness is basically how we do it. So this is actually a screenshot of what's inside in the modules. So we're covering basically textures of consciousness. This is like literally a mindset program where like most of who you think you are is not, and you sort of bend your brain open. I like to think of it as like pumpkins on Halloween and like scooping out all the gunk. Right? Like this is the part where we scoop out all your gunk from your mind and your body, whether it's mindset, belief work, nervous system. Like there's so many, literally dozens of embodiment practices to fundamentally reshape your nervous system. Like this is all of the you stuff that we're focusing on. Like what are your patterns? How is that showing up? How's that impacting your marketing? And how do we clear it? So this is an example of like, we're going here, like muggle consciousness is like lowest level of consciousness, conditioned mind. And then we're going up and up and up the levels of consciousness so that you can just be kind of magical in the world. And then we're covering everything from your posture, right? Have you ever been in a networking event and people are like this? right? So we're looking at how are you literally showing up in the world? That's your brand. Your frequency, your voice. When does your voice crack? When does it get lower? What happens when you're on a consult call and someone asks a question, right? What happens to your posture and your voice? We're literally getting to that level of detail. The boxes that bind is covering different belief systems that you have maybe had ingrained into you based on your race, your gender, your where you grew up. We have people that are like from the Midwest, so they think they can't be wealthy, like all that kooky looky kind of stuff that we just start scooping out so that you can literally just show up to the marketplace and make some money. Okay. Oh, I also love these. The creativity stuff has been really useful for people. One of the most common things, if you ever look at our sales page, you'll see people being like, oh, I felt like I was pushing or forcing before. And now I feel like I'm in flow. I'm creating more clients and it feels like I'm in flow. I've never felt more aligned. So this is very much part of the internal rebrand section that you would work on inside of the membership. And because most people struggle to make massive growth in their business, it's because there's like a disconnect of like who they believe they are in the world and what they believe they're capable of, what they believe is fundamentally possible. And then obviously that will impact their ability to then actually create results. And so, in order to permanently and sustainably change that core identity, right? Like we've been conditioned to be these like tiny little humans, but we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and like we're going back and back and back and expanding until you're like, oh, I'm a spiritual being that I can do anything. I happen to have this little human that I need to help out sometimes. And so we're really working on doing all of the personal development work so that we can clear you out and you can just be a clear channel to show up on the market the way you want. So here's an example of some of the people. These are screenshots from the group. I have removed their personal identifiable information, but so that you can see the kind of stuff we're working on, right? And so this person is having a thought like it's for them and not for you. So they have a strong tendency to look at others and think like they can do it, but you can't do it. So their actual circumstances point to a lot of success, but they feel energetically discouraged. So this is the kind of stuff that it's like, if you can't be energetically encouraged in your business and like, I'm going to go out and sign some clients today, of course, you're going to like not post the thing. You're going to show up sort of half-hearted to the webinar. You're not going to write the emails. You're not going to do the thing, right? And so here it's like, I know the energy of my highest self. I am meant to stand out. But when I'm thinking this, I feel small in my body. This is what we're working through so that it's like, oh no, I'm meant for this. And I can just start showing up that way. Here's another huge shift. There's so many people that come in to kill off their employee identity. It's funny because I have changed my niche from being like employee to entrepreneur. For those of you that are new to me, my niche used to be helping employees become entrepreneurs, but I still hold it. Like, I don't think there's any such thing as a struggling entrepreneur. I just think there's like business owners operating from an employee mindset. And there's a lot of people that come in to kill that off. And so one of the things we work on a lot is consciously like killing off parts of our identity. And this person was noticing like on their desk, they had like thank you cards from their boss. We have so many people that are like sitting in their corporate office chairs, like in their office, and they wonder why they feel stuck in this like employee mindset. The number of people that talk about like, I feel like someone's like watching me, like a boss is over my shoulders. So the number of people that come in to actually like completely scoop that identity out and step into fully being a business owner that can create their results, pretty fantastic. Here we go. Okay. This is an example where there's a lot of women that come in that it's like, in order to make money, I have to show up this way. And so this person is working through, like, they don't want to have fierce designer energy, but they think that's all that's possible, right? So it's like really the internal rebrand is in between me and what I think is possible for me to make money, for me to sign clients, for me to XYZ is this stuff. So we're finding all of it. We're bringing it up to the surface. And I want you to think we're just like taking a net and we're scooping it off. So that it's literally like you just don't even have those thoughts anymore. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a fun story. I'm going to tell you more about this one in a minute. But this was a client that came in and said, I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified to sign my first person. I'm not like, I don't think I can do it right now. And so it was like a whole thing around lack of qualifications and a whole thing around education and how she needed more education, which was hilarious because this woman is brilliant, right? And so this is like where it's so clear. It's like literally just stuff that's been conditioned into our mind. And so we're scooping that out. And you're going to hear in a little bit what happened after we scooped this out of her. This is an example really more around nervous system work. And so in there, we're doing actually, you're getting tools to, if you grew up in a household, I grew up in a household with a lot of frantic, anxious, I was parented by someone who had a lot of energy. My nervous system just took it on. I co-regulated with that person and I was kind of like this, right? So you're learning tools to actually literally reshape your nervous system and elevate your emotional baseline so that you don't have to be freaking out about your business. You don't have to be stressed. You don't have to be like weird when you show up on video. Like you can be calm. You can be relaxed, and you can make sales way more easily from that place. All right, so we cover all of this stuff holistically. So we're doing deep identity work, looking at what we're pulling all of that stuff up to the surface and what you think is possible for you versus actually what you want, what you consciously feel called to do, what you consciously feel called to create. We're smattering in some fun, I guess, what would we call these little testimonials? This is Lily, and she joined, and it was funny because she had a designer background, so she almost didn't join. She's like, oh, I get branding, right? But it's like she was confused between brand and branding. Like if you're an individual person, if you have belief system stuff, for her, it was a lot more of the internal stuff, right? So to the ability to show up bolder, she had this thought like, oh, I'm like a big, bold person, but I have to be more successful. And then, right? I find so often the shift is when you think like, later, not yet, I can't do that yet. Like we just bring it to the now and then it collapses your timeline to clients. And it was really fun to see her not second guessing herself, showing up, signing the clients. We purge old belief systems and install new ones that are just like, yep, I do this, I do this, and clients are attracted to me. Again, we cover nervous system tools. So your body is not super stressed all the time. You can feel more relaxed. You literally feel like you have an elevated baseline state in your body that working in your business just feels so much better day to day. This is my client, Crystal, which I loved this. Like so many people talk about how like this has not just benefited. It's like, I thought I was joining for my business and like to create a brand, but because it's you're a personal brand. So we actually have to clear out your mind and body so you can show up powerfully to the internet, which means when we clear that out, you show up differently to your partner, you show up differently to your kids. Like the number of people that talk about how this is like completely shifted their entire way of being. It's like, that's what it is, right? With the who before how, we're shifting who you're being in the world. And so this is like, I don't have to be anxious anymore. I don't have to be stressed. Like best money she's ever spent. And she's had more people reaching out in the past 2 weeks than in the past year. This is actually what happens. People, it's like such a, like, I can't slow down. I've got to like keep going. And like, then when you slow down and you relax, makes room for more to come in. All right, you walk out of the internal rebrand section of the curriculum an entirely new person, confident, excited to take up space and be seen, looking forward to making offers and ready to market and sell. You're not having to like push yourself and force yourself anymore. It just ease, alignment, flow. And again, I feel like this is one of the most common things. Like I've never felt more grounded. I've never felt more powerful being just me. Like I've never loved myself more, which is so funny. When I like started my business, I'm like, time for self-love. But I'm like, oh, when you do this, turns out you give 0 fucks and you can market way more powerfully, which we will get to when we talk about the external rebrand. So once you nail your who, we scooped you out, we cleared all of it, and you're just literally in line with the future you're guided to. We start to then do the external rebrand work. And if you're here and you're like, listen, I've nailed my who, but I just like, there's some of the external branding kind of stuff that I want help with, that we totally have people that join. So a lot of people that are like, oh my gosh, my biggest shifts came from the internal rebrand. And then some people are like, I never even touched those modules. I wanted the external rebrand stuff. So we'll move to that next. Oh, this is another one I love. So many people are like program junkies, and it's like, there is no other program like this. There is no other membership like this on the internet. The level, like how holistic it is, right? Mind, body, spirit, how we cover every facet from your mind and body, your posture, your voice, your visual design, your clothing, your office space. Like it's bananas how holistic this membership is. All right, now let's go to the external rebrand. And the external rebrand, we've gone through internal. That's elevating your perception, elevating how you perceive yourself, scooping out your thoughts and just pulling you forward so you can feel kind of pulled towards your future. Then the external rebrand is you doing that work to then elevate how you're showing up, your presence in the marketplace. So here's a look inside the external rebrand part of the curriculum. So we're starting with defining, this is basically defining what your core signature is. So every soul has a unique sort of, it's like a fingerprint, right? There's something that's very unique to you that is why people are always being drawn to you. And we want to make that conscious. We want to get clear on what that is so that we can actually pull it all the way through your brand and make sure people are coming to hire you specifically for that. So from there, we're working on your brand positioning, which is like, I always say, like, are you like a Walmart or are you a Chanel? If you are at Walmart, please don't buy. I don't like cheap brands that don't want to give value. Like, so don't, but like Costco, right? We have some people who are more like a Costco where it's like high quality, not like super high on the pricing scale. And we have more premium kind of brands joining. And you want to get clear on like, what is that? Because that from everything flows down from what that brand positioning is, what you talk about. We cover brand voice, like who are you to your people? What do you sound like? There's so many people that have like so many rules on them that once we do the internal rebrand work, then we can just unleash the brand voice in the marketplace and have people being like, oh my God, like, can you post your stuff and not have your handle next to it and people would know it's you? Right? That's what you really want to get to when we're talking about being uniquely differentiated and people can't wait to see your next post, right? We're talking about how do you talk about yourself? That's just more than your about me page. You're going to want a whole pillar of content where you're actually sharing unique stories about you and how you came into your work and how it makes you like the best person for your people to hire. We cover all of that here. Branding yourself versus your offers, creating an aligned brand content strategy. So you know how you want to be known in the marketplace and you actually back it up with a content strategy that's better than post today. A lot of the internet just has a to-do list with post today with no actual understanding of why are we posting and what is our intention here and how are we going to create that with a proper aligned content strategy. We have the Energetic Thirst Traps workshop. As so much of social media has gone more and more to video, listen, I'll tell you a story in a little bit of a client that used this training to go completely viral. She went from like 1,300 followers to, last I checked, she's at almost like 23,000 followers within a couple months, just from implementing what she learned in this training. And then we're covering elevating your visual brand identity. And that's really more around your sales pages, your social media, your grid, that kind of stuff, like just being conscious and aware of how you're calibrating that. So you're communicating through your visuals, right? Your communication through visuals, as the internet gets faster and faster, the brain processes visuals. I think it's like 60,000 times faster than text. This is a money-making skill in today's economy, like never before. And then again, photo shoots. If you're a personal brand and you're selling your services, people are going to want to feel into you and to have something that actually represents you. You know exactly why you're unique, and we're pulling it all the way through into like really cool, dynamic photo shoots that are telling. It's not just like pretty pictures, right? It's literally communicating more than like a 30,000 word essay that no one would ever read because people don't have time for that, right? So if you can ever heard a picture speaks 1,000 words, this is getting your photos that good that your pictures are speaking 1,000 words without ever having to speak. All right. And as you can see, this is like people just know, like they start to go through an internal rebrand and people go through cycles, right? So this isn't like you do the internal rebrand once and then you're like a perfect human and then you do the external rebrand. This person has actually been in for like 1.5 years and then it was like, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling this next level, this next up level wanting to come through me. I need to go back to the internal rebrand work, approach it from like my current, like scoop more out and then recalibrate my externals. All right, let's peek inside a few of the modules. Creating an aligned brand content strategy. So this is where we're really looking at how do you want to be known, and how do we calibrate your content to make you known for that, right? We talk about the actual content, the subject matter you're discussing. We cover like the visuals. How do you represent that? And so we'll cover a few of the things that have happened inside our program from that. So this is something, again, you'll hear the word embodiment a lot. Like this is where people really come to just get super clear on who they are. And they actually, for the first time in their life, many times, like after like 3 or 4 decades on this planet, embody that fully on the internet, within themselves, and then in their expression on the internet. And so this is her showing, like, this is the board that she was working on. And then this is how she started to calibrate that. And her story is super fun because if you might remember a little bit ago, there was someone that had this, like, I don't feel qualified. I don't feel qualified to even be talking on the internet. And she got coached on that, did the internal rebrand work, then did the external rebrand work, started showing up. And then this happened. So for the first time, she made her first offer for her services on Friday. She had nothing. She'd never even started a business before she joined, and then made her first offer. And this woman is like very inspired by the classics, like very Carl Jung, very like ancient mythology, like that kind of stuff, like things that she would think is super nerdy. And her audience completely loves it, right? So she gets a message from someone involved with classics, ancient history, an organization that DMs her to let her know that she's being given an award. Literally, when they flew her out based on because she did the internal rebrand work, started showing up, was externally rebranding it, had her aligned brand content strategy. She got flown out to receive an award where she like showed me one of the coaching calls. She was like, in my like bookcase, these are the other award winners. And they were like people whose books she has on her bookshelf that she's been like so inspired by. Then she gets flown out to be in a room of them after she said, I'm not qualified right now, right? All she had to do was scoop that out, show up. And now she's like, it's unbelievable the exposure she's gotten from showing up, doing what she thought was too weird or too niche or too whatever. And is literally getting national awards, being flown out, sitting in rooms, networking with people that are like, she's had in her mind as like the top of the top for forever. She's now among them. This is another example of in the brand content strategy. She was like, you know what? And someone in our community, she was like, I just want to show up. I want to embody my essence. I'm super clear on what my signature is. I want to do that for 30 days. Does anyone want to join me? Right. So this is her like thinking about joining a community where people are taking the time to show up and everyone's working on how do I show up powerfully, being my highest self, and who wants to join me. So if you've ever felt like, man, I wish I could plug into a community like that, welcome. It's right here. So what happens after she does this? She shows up for 30 days. This is what happens, right? She's embodying her essence. Again, you're going to see that word embodiment. 4 people signed up for a call with her. She got another bonus. She's an educational consultant, just so you know. You'll see some of the stuff. You're like, what's she talking about, right? Someone reached out about doing some coaching and consulting for her school district in Hawaii. Look at everything that comes from her just showing up for 30 days. Received an invitation to present at a virtual summit. Woke up to a message from a former colleague she hasn't talked to in years, asking if she could feature one of my frameworks in her new book on educational equity. What? So what happens when you do the internal rebrand work and then you have an aligned brand content strategy? Magic. This is another example. I love even thinking about like marketing platform, right? So this person was talking about, I have a bachelor's in writing, and as Instagram and Facebook have gotten like way more like faster and faster, I want to go to Medium where people go to read. That's part of making an aligned marketing strategy that is aligned with your gifts, right? So like being in a room where people are genuinely contemplating what that is and making powerful decisions because of it. It's a beautiful space to be to do that. All right, let's talk about your visual brand identity. We go through like the 6 elements of visual brand design. So if you ever look at something and you're like, oh, it's off, but I don't know why, you will never see visual design the same way again. I sort of think of it like, for me as a cook, I am not a good enough cook to even know if I taste something, what's off. Like I don't know the balance of garlic and herbs and things like that. But with visual design, I can be like, oh, it's the font, it's this, it's that, it's that. I can tell the elements that need to be adjusted to bring the design into balance. This solves that. And design principles are marketing platform agnostic. We have people from, I mean, we're going to go through it, but like every platform you could possibly imagine are in the program actually applying these principles and attracting in clients from it. So just to give a few examples, this is actually my client, the Rewriting Myth one. She's on Substack. She's an incredible writer. We have my client, Devin. She is someone who teaches people to travel first class with points. She's a member inside the Brand Alchemy Accelerator, and her biggest platform is actually her podcast. We have my client, Amber, who is on YouTube creating clients. She's an executive coach, and she's showing up there to give content around executive presence. She's on YouTube. This is my client, Aman. This is her website, right? So like you can see, it's the marketing platform, it's the website. Visual design applies to anywhere where you would be creating content and showing up. We even have a client who came in not as a visual designer and has since joining the accelerator realized like she thought she wanted to be a coach, and she does do some of that still, but she's actually moving into more visual design work because the Brand Alchemy Accelerator like opened up this awareness around a sort of latent skill set she had. And this is an example of some Oracle cards that she recently designed. And you don't even need to be an online business. This is my client, Melissa. She owns a spa. So this is an example of, she was like feeling really stuck on like, she'd had trouble for like years figuring out her visual brand. And then after doing this training, she was like, oh, I totally understand now. I want to be bold, but not loud. And there's a specific visual way that expresses. It's bold and deep. And through that, dark watercolor flowers, bees, foxes, all of these things came through. And we'll talk about her again in a little bit. She's like used some of our office work to actually completely like design her spa, right? And so you could be someone that like maybe you have a little bit of an online presence, but you're primarily a brick and mortar. This membership still applies to you. Oh, wait, what's happening? What's happening? We're going the wrong way. This has happened before where I'm like, why is it going backwards? Here, let me go this way. Okay, we'll start using my keyboard. My mouse is, okay. But that covers like the visual calibration of your stuff. Your brand is you though. Like in the modern era, like people, if you're selling your personal services, your brand is you. So we're covering that too. And in the internal rebrand section, you saw we covered posture, we covered voice, all of those elements of who you are. We do a lot of wardrobe work too, though. And so in this, we're looking at how are you presenting yourself to the world, and what is that communicating about you without you ever having to open your mouth and speak. Okay. We're also like, as within, so without. We look at everything from, you could literally look in your closet and see all of your mindset blocks, legit, right? So not only are we looking at how does your highest self show up and how can we elevate your presence in the marketplace, we're actually going into your closet and finding your limiting beliefs, your like stuck points, by actually going into your closet and culling static from it, and then figuring out what are those static patterns that are in your mind. So it's like internal and external, they play off of each other, right? You can find your mindset blocks by like doing mindset work. You can also find your blocks by just looking at your environment, right? I promise it's there. And all of this covers both the internal and the external part of that wardrobe work. This is my client, Charlie. Charlie joined the accelerator and they basically wore white and gray and black, and they are like the opposite of that. And like you'll hear, I'll mention they were on the podcast, so you can hear from them again in a little bit. I'll show you the podcast number. But as someone who is trans, Charlie didn't feel comfortable. It was almost like a safety mechanism. Let me not be visible. Let me almost blend in to be safe. But that wasn't Charlie's spirit. And it didn't feel good. And it was basically just making them invisible. So you can imagine if they were like thinking that and being that, it was energetically showing up that way online. So coming in and doing the wardrobe work, this is like them celebrating, like speaking of the color of your soul, like things are about to get really fun. Charlie came in and like really up-leveled, like, who am I? What is my unique frequency if I were allowing myself to be visible in the world? And here's a fun few pictures of Charlie. And you can go to episode 117 of the Ascension Through Entrepreneurship podcast to listen to Charlie talk about their experience, really seeing like how all of their internal blocks were just manifesting in a really neutral wardrobe that had them not showing up. All right. We commemorate this in our community through something we call Wardrobe Wednesday. And every Wednesday, we have a thread where people are posting how they're celebrating themselves, taking up space in the world. You'll hear a lot of this is like, take up space, take up space. So many people have been taught to not take up space, which is a big fucking problem when you run your own business, right? You need to self-advocate and you need to get comfortable with taking up space in the world. And so I have intentionally created a culture where we take up space in the community, where you can do it in a way that's like, it's like the safest place where you will be celebrated and you will be seen. And this is one of the sort of, I guess I would call it like a weekly ritual that we have inside of the community to allow you to really acclimate your mind and body to feel more comfortable being more and more highly visible online. So these are just a couple examples of some of our Wardrobe Wednesday posts. And then just to go through, this is kind of what the thread looks like on a week-to-week basis. Like, all right, this was me presenting at this thing. I'm taking up space. And then like our community, they're like all chatting in the comments, like, oh my gosh, I love your shirt. My clients loved it. Then the next person's posting, it's been a bit since I posted in here. Here's today's vibe. Loving the lack of snow in Southern Ontario. And then they posted their outfit. And so it's a really fun place to just gather as a community every week to like, people have made connections. Actually, my client, the Ontario one, there's another person in Ontario that I don't know if they've gotten together yet, but like they've become friends just from seeing each other posting stuff in there and then mentioning the location, right? And so it's a really fun place to connect, celebrate taking up space, make your next business bestie, and all from the point of like, we're showing up powerfully in the world, we're taking up space and we're going for it. This is like, it's become such a ritual that people will post on days that aren't Wednesday, right? So like, I've been really struggling with taking up space visually, and I'm grateful for having the opportunity to get into those feelings in this group. It's like a cultural thing where it's like, that's just celebrated. You take up space here. When you get comfortable doing it here, it's a lot easier to start posting super powerfully on your social media. This person is a published author, and so she joined to be comfortable going out to book signings, going out to like really take up space in the physical world. And she's sort of acclimating her body to it within the group so that she's able to show up really powerfully when she goes on tour for her books. This is my client, Melissa, and this is an example of some of the wardrobe work that she did. Actually, let's talk about her. So she came in, she's an example. I talk about the problem when you think that you have to start with a niche is you think about who you think the people are that you want to sell to, and then you twist yourself into a pretzel in a way that's not you at all. So she sells to people, I forget if they're in pharma or biotech, but she's a career coach. And she basically took all of her projections about how boring that industry was, and she started making herself show up basically really corporate and boring in a way that she's definitely not. And it was killing her. So for her, she was like really feeling like when she joined the program, she was like, oh, I just feel like I have to color in the lines. She was in a 6-figure business at the time. And she was like feeling like still, she was so constricted. Like there were all these rules. Like, what do I say when I post? What do I do? How do I show up? What do I wear? Like, did the internal rebrand work, scooped it out. And then this was literally just verbatim taken from a post that she posted inside the Accelerator. I just hit $200,000 in the last 12 months, and I know the Accelerator contributed to this result. I did a launch party for my brand refresh last week with a workshop as a thank you to my audience. So many people have told me how much they love the new brand. She was telling herself she couldn't because, oh, it's boring. Like they won't like it if I show up like me. So I better just do this other thing, right? Now people like she's signed more clients. People are like literally actually you can listen to her podcast episode 146. She talks about how people were like they were like I've already think I've done the work that you market that you are doing, but I'm just like really attracted to you. Can I just like do general life coaching with you? Can I just like work with you? I'm just really drawn to you specifically. And that is again and again and again what you will hear from people that join this program. They start really attracting in their best buyers. All right, let's talk about another one. Photoshoots is such a fun training. And listen, creativity loves a plan. I am very wildly creative. I mean, look at my rainbows, right? I am also a rising Capricorn. So this training goes through step by step, literally. Where do you go to find a photographer? How do you think about your space? What accessories do you bring? What poses do you do? How do you do all those things? What tools do you use? What platforms can you find a photographer on? Where do you go to look up the best places to actually do your photo shoot? What if you don't have the money for a professional photographer? How can you do it? Have a friend take photos of you and think about lighting and different things and get really high quality images, right? All of that is covered inside of this training. And it's just been really fun for me, I mean, just as someone who's like all in for women's empowerment and the way that women are taught to not show themselves in the world because of X, Y, or Z, like this one, I like legit, I could probably cry right now, but like the number of people that are like, I have been putting off doing a photo shoot. I never thought I'd do a photo shoot with my naturally curly hair. So this was a win to not feel like I need to straighten my hair to be pretty. I probably will cry now, right? Like that's it. Like the number of people that have like all of that stuff, you just scoop it out. I can't do this because I can't show up big because I can't have my hair this texture. Like what in the world, right? But so many women are like, oh, I'm waiting until I lose weight to do a photo shoot. It's bananas. So we scoop all that out and you just start allowing yourself to show up in the world. And when you start allowing yourself to show up super powerfully, turns out attracts in lots of clients. All right. This person is celebrating. They were nervous, but they were tapping into the vibe. This butterfly is emerging. One of the things you'll see in a lot of the screenshots is we talk about the Brand Alchemy Accelerator is really the caterpillar to the butterfly transformation, where you're going in as a caterpillar and you're emerging as this future self, like you can see in your mind's eye, but you're just not quite sure how to get there. This is literally the membership that has all of the tools that allows you to slough off all of the dead stuff that just needs to be let go of and really emerge as that butterfly. All right. I love this. In the photo shoots training, we talk about speaking up. The number of people that are like, I don't know, like, I feel weird. I think I'm not getting what I want in this, but I feel weird saying anything. You better believe, like my clients, they speak up, they advocate for themselves, not in a way that's like pushy, right? But it's like in a way where they're gonna like own what it is that they desire. And if they're a paying client of something, they're gonna ask for what they want and get it. All right, taking up space is just an example too. Like this person is like, they just had their friend take their pictures. They used this photo shoots training and they just had a friend take some like really incredible photos for them that they're like, oh my gosh, not only did it give me the boost of confidence, but I'm now more excited about marketing because I have these incredible images to be posting that I feel powerfully represent who I am in the world. All right. The other thing that I think is super fun is like doing a photo shoot and then doing some where you're like, oh my God, I really let myself go for it. And then I see people, they don't post it. Right. So this is someone that like they let themselves go for it in the photo shoot, but then they're like, oh my gosh, this picture, it's too much. I can't post it. But then she was in the program, she's in the membership, right? So she scoops it out. She allows herself to show up that way, really like just releasing all of the stuff. And it's actually been so fun. She's like getting speaking gigs, she's signing clients. It's been really fun as she allows herself more and more to just show up as who she is. She's attracting in her best fit people. This is just an example of my client, Melissa, who we talked about a little bit ago, and one of her photo shoots. There's so many, like, there's just a wild crowd of people excited anytime photo shoot pictures come in. And it's just such a fun space to plug yourself into. I think for women that feel creative, but oftentimes like have been told that's not like a money-making strategy, to actually find out that it is, right? And if this is something that you love and feels fun and playful, actually allowing yourself to pursue business this way will make money faster and more frequently. All right, here's a few examples of actual before and afters of photo shoots of members of the Brand Alchemy Accelerator. I have a little bit of a joke of like, you need the accelerator if your current photos are you with a laptop and a coffee cup. It's just sort of like the emblem of like conditioned, watered down woman that's like afraid to actually be herself online. It's like, I'll do this. I'm a digital entrepreneur. So you'll notice in a few of these, it's literally people in the before with a laptop and a coffee cup. This is my client, Maggie. She's an educational consultant and she's doing like really fun speaking engagements and things. And you can, oh gosh, just like the difference, right? You can feel how much more alive they are in the after images through doing the brand alchemy process. Rachel, this is my client, Rachel. You'll notice she's holding her coffee cup. And then she decided to actually show up powerfully. And it has been really fun to see her call in more aligned clients through actually just being herself and being more dynamic, right? Like, I think a common thing is like you follow people online that feel more dynamic or different than how you allow yourself to show up. But when you allow yourself to start showing up that way, you start calling in better clients because it's just who you really are. My client Precious, well, Glam, Zahia, and Laura. So you can see everybody has a different energy. Everyone has a different vibe, but you can tell there's like an aliveness in the after. You can tell that their mind, body, spirit are online and representing themselves. And then we're just visually calibrating their photo shoot to express that. My client, Laura, working with Catherine literally changed the trajectory of my entire life. She worked with me. She actually has gone from being in a 9-to-5 to being completely like runs her own business, has created like 2 6-figure sales years, and now calls in the most dreamy soulmate clients that are such a pleasure to work with. Brand is really, it's the type of client you're calling in. And if you're not attracting the number of clients that you want or the type of client, you always want to start with brand work to see what's going on. This is my client, Crystal. And I mentioned a little bit ago, like people that are in the Midwest and think they can't make money, right? Like we scooped out all of that stuff in the internal rebrand section. And then she talked about this moment when she went out, she did the photo shoots work and allowed herself to dress this way. Because in her Midwestern town, she likes to dress a certain way, but was like, oh, I can't because I live in this little town. And then she was like, oh my God, something shifted deep inside of me. The moment I went out with a photographer, not just like in an inside space, but I went out in my little Midwestern town and I showed up this way. And she's a psychic, which also there's like a lot of things around like the psychics being from little towns and all of those types of things, right? She joined the program, started making money immediately, has more than doubled her income from last year and significantly increased her rates. She's attracting better clients and those clients love paying those higher rates. All right. But wait, there's more. Another module that we cover inside is your office and why your office matters. So you might be like, wait, what? An office? Like, what does that have to do with brand? But you can see, right? My Zoom space, this is actually like part of your greatest impression of me is where I'm sitting right now, right? So there's that. There's what I'm visually expressing through showing up right now. But it's also like you're only as good as a plant. You have to be in the right soil. So you want to make sure that your office is the right soil for you. And so we cover this both from an energetic lens, energetically calibrating it so that you can be just a clearer channel, like getting the best ideas, feeling super productive, like really working powerfully day to day. And then we're also thinking about it from the lens of visual calibration to make sure it's doing things that are like boom, 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 calling in, stopping the scroll basically for best fit clients. And to help us in this area, we have called in an international renowned guest expert. So this is what the office module looks like inside of the curriculum. And this is my friend, Olga Naiman. You might ask, who's Olga Naiman? You might be getting a sense from these photos here. Olga is an internationally recognized interior designer who combines psychology, the law of attraction, and interior design principles to create spaces that look as good as they feel and are manifestation magnets. So in the office module, if we go back, you can see there's literally, what is that, like hours and hours of an internationally renowned interior designer literally looking at physical spaces of people who have joined the program and giving like, these are the tweaks to make from an interior design perspective. And these are from an energetics, calibrating to your future self so that actually it's like, sounds so gross, but it's like your space becomes like lubricant for your future to just come to you. The number of people that are like, I changed my office and I got more consults than I ever have, like stuff that like defies even my logical mind. But anyway, we're talking about Olga right now, not about necessarily the office work. Olga knows her stuff and she's like a press darling. Her work has been featured in Domino Magazine, The Washington Post, Design Therapist. Olga Naiman addresses the person, not just the space. Vogue, Better Homes and Gardens, right? So when I say I give you all the best, I mean I give you all the best, no stone unturned, right? And so to have her inside the space actually helping, like, you get to see the top of this person in their industry, helping you calibrate your space so that this is literally a before and after of one of the spaces of one of our Brand Alchemy members. You can even see like a few of the things are the same, but a lot has shifted to more energetically calibrate to her highest self. Here, for the first time in 5 years, this office space is all mine and just the way I want it. So this is an example of like, people post. This is literally a 2-minute thing that someone posted showing off their office. There's just constant, like, just imagine plugging into the energy of creation. That's what joining this membership is. It's like you're just constantly in the flow and stream of alignment and flow and creation and creativity. You could never feel stuck. You could never, it's almost like even if you have some pebbles, you just plug into the community and you feel them wash away. There's so much always happening inside. Again, this is someone's before and they're posting like, this is what I'm moving towards. So it's really fun to just be in community doing this work with others and seeing the people making comments, giving suggestions, all of those types of things. This is my client, Melissa, before, who I mentioned her spa. It took her 2 years to redesign it. She did the office work from this Olga, the famous interior designer, took what she learned from there and actually just redesigned her entire spa, right? So this is like not something that just impacts your office. If you're like a little bit of like, I'd love to up level my space to like really call in my future self. She did this work. Melissa had another side of the building that she rents out that has always had a lot of trouble renting. She elevated her space. And this is why she's talking about, I up leveled the space and the universe rewarded me. It was like within a day, someone just walked in and was like, can I just here's a check. I just want it. She was like, what is happening? Just shifted the space. Future came in like a magnet. It's really fun to see what the space work sort of opens up for people. All right. Here's another thing that I notice is very common, as within, so without. So one of the biggest things that I see is women not allowing themselves to take up space, take up space, take up space. Literally, I see this manifest in them not allowing themselves to take up physical space. And so the number of people that notice that they've given their husband the home office and haven't given themselves a space, they just kind of work on their laptop wherever, like that's a manifestation of just a kind of fucked up cultural construct, right? And so this is like, oh, wait, like this is a woman in a $600,000 business, by the way. Actually, she's at over $1 million now since joining. But then she realized something. I've never had my own office room ever. She was just sort of wedging herself in. She took up space, took up physical space, took up online space, started making more money. This is actually just from the last screenshot. For the first time in 5 years, this office space is all mine and just the way I want it. I finally claimed space for myself. And I just want you to think about when you finally energetically, physically claim space for yourself, how that impacts everything that you then create. It like shifts something deep inside of you. Definitely changed my energy. I felt like I was hiding in my corner, but now I feel like I'm owning the whole room, right? And so if you feel like you're hiding in a corner and then that's where you're creating from, that's where you're planting yourself and you're hiding in a corner, think about how it's going to shift you when you're owning the whole room, how you're going to market differently, how you're going to show up on video differently when you're owning the room. This is a person that was like, oh, wait, I like thought I couldn't figure it out. I have this tiny little room. She used the trainings to figure it out. She set stuff up in a spare room. And she's like, it actually was like, I have been avoiding going live and now I'm finally going to go live because I'm proud of the space that I've created now. I'm excited to actually start showing up. All right, but that's not all. Let's talk about the bonus courses. So after the curriculum, there's also bonus courses. And inside, it's the Energetics of Money course. I started to notice after I released the main curriculum, that there were some people that just had weird stuff. It's like, your pricing is always, you base your pricing on your brand positioning. So they were doing the brand positioning work, but then they had weird money stuff. So they were, even though they understood logically their brand positioning stuff, they were having trouble charging for it. So I created an entire course on money that allowed them to get super confident in their pricing and their relationship with money so that they could actually be signing clients at higher rates. The main character energy reboot is like a really fun one. If you've gone through the main curriculum and like later you want just like a quick zhuzh, like an espresso shot kind of version. There is a behind the scenes of a 6 to 7 figure rebrand of a website, an entire website redesign and what changes, and all branding workshops and trainings that I've ever run are inside the bonus section. This, I feel like the energetics of money, I've thought about just selling it on its own. It's that good. So these are some of the things that have just happened from the energetics of money. So I just sent out the first package at my premium price, and I feel like puking. That's how we know we're on the right track. And this is that same person later in the year. They signed their 15th client and at the highest price yet, right? So this is like in the beginning, I'm like sending this out for the first time. Not too much later, I'm like, oh, I now have 15 clients and I did the money work. So I'm actually getting paid like commensurate with my value in the marketplace. A lot of people that tend to come in, they're like undercharging. There's a pricing workshop inside the Energetics of Money training, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's cracked open so much. I haven't ever really considered bringing into my content. So you can see how these things start to interplay, right? Like they do the pricing work to get confident in their pricing, and then they go back to the brand content strategy work, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to thread this in and call in my next client. All right, I love this one for the Energetics of Money. The Energetics of Money bonus has helped me to step into full belief and conviction of what I have to offer, and it's being felt by others. I had a consult with a new client today, and it was the first time I stated my new price out loud for my 6-month one-on-one program. At the end of the call, she told me that one of the reasons she wants to work with me is because of how much respect I demonstrate toward myself and the value I offer, and the confident, radiant energy she felt when I shared my offer with her without smallness or wavering. No more belief that I need to take what I can get. Thank you, Catherine, for the multifaceted value you've generated inside this container. Like, this is what's possible. There have been people that have come in, they've been in business for years, just drastically undercharging. And what opens up for them when they come in, they do this work, and then they're able to just do the work that they love, call in better clients, and actually feel like excited because it's like, I am being compensated for my gifts in the world. This is my client, Sarah Leslie. I've been able to double my prices. I've been able to show up with more ease. I feel comfortable in my own skin because I'm no longer showing up trying to blend in. She did the internal rebrand work. Then she did the energetics of money work, doubled her prices. These are things that are really just priceless. It cuts down on so much of the time for people to get a sense of who you are. That really is like a strong brand. It immediately attracts your best people, and your non-best fit people, it will repel them. You actually want to, as a strong brand, you want to repel people and to be aware of who do I want to repel and who do I want to attract, and calibrating things to do that. This is my client, Christina. When she was pretty shortly after joining, I'm like, oh my goodness, had her first $12,000 a week, raised her rates. I think she doubled her rates twice in her first year inside the membership, fully booked with a waiting list. So that was just the curriculum. I know there's more, y'all. We're just getting started. Don't worry, we don't have too much more. The curriculum was a lot of it. What else do you get? Weekly support. So when you join the membership, we have something called weekly hot takes. This is an example of literally what it looks like when you join the program. You can come in. We have a whole form that you'll fill out. So if you want to submit a question every week, have at it, y'all. You will come in, you'll do the curriculum. As you're applying the curriculum, if you have a question, you're like, I have a clarification I have something specific. You will tell us what part of the program you want help with, and then you let us know your question. So this is literally one from just this past week. February was my highest sales month, and as I evaluated how I did this, it was a combination of tapping into play and self-trust, monk energy, and mogul energy. So if you remember from the internal rebrand stuff, she did the energetics work, and all of a sudden, highest sales month ever. The road bump, I love this. The road bump I'm now running into is fear of capacity. She's at 9 clients and she wants 4 more, but it's like she's creating so many clients coming in. She's starting to like want to pump the brakes. You would think this is not a thing we would do. This is a thing we do, right? So she's submitting for the hot takes. Like, Catherine, help me. I'm like in a knot. Like, I want to continue attracting all these clients from the work I'm doing in the accelerator, but I can feel myself energetically sort of wanting to block them. How can I stay open? So this is an example of like, I'm going to answer this. It's like asynchronous, right? So at your own convenience, you submit this, and then I will answer your question. And then you can see, this is what it looks like inside the portal. We timestamp the questions that we get. So you can come in, if you know you submitted a question, you can go in the next week, and then you can see like where your question is timestamped at, go to the exact moment to hear me answer your exact question, get exactly what you need, and go off and conquer the next thing, right? So here's just a few people who are like, oh my gosh, thank you for the weekly hot takes coaching. It was powerful and I took in every bit of it. I even watched it twice to really hear your words and solidify moving forward. Someone who was like, oh, wait, I realized after you answered my, she said hotspot, hot take, whatever. You can call it a hotspot question. The resistance I'm dealing with is being held back from past choices, right? Internal rebrand, weird mind stuff. We've got to clear it out. So we're clearing that out. You can submit stuff around internal rebrand or external rebrand. Literally in the same call, I will coach on like a mindset block and pockets and jumpers and colors. Like it's that holistic in terms of what we're covering inside the space. And even if there's some people that they don't use this part of the program, like they don't actively submit questions. And this person, I don't think she's ever submitted a hot take, but she just posted, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I want to take a moment and express my sincere gratitude for each of you that has gotten coached, posted in the group, sent questions in for hot takes because I'm learning from you all. Right. So like she's never submitted a hot take, but she's going back and watching every single one of them. If the timestamps show it's something that she's working on and it's moving her forward. All right, next we have membership events. So we have pop-up monthly events. There's like, oh my gosh, it's so fun. So let's just dive into it. All right, event types of the different types of events included in your membership include live coaching calls, which are pretty self-explanatory, but let me just show you sort of what I was thinking about, like, how can I let you experience what it's like inside? So this is one of our recent live coaching calls, and this is the replay. These are the timestamps, right? So the first person, I'm coaching them on distilling down the unique differentiator that her brand brings to the market, and then really working through how do we thread that through her various offers and how she's showing up? How do we make sure that it's like calibrated so her best people are just popping in, right? And also that what's super fun is like, I think that person, I forget, she's in $100,000 or $200,000 business. This next person, she's in a 7-figure business and she's coming on for coaching around what makes her program unique. And then we're really looking at, okay, like what do we need to make sure that we're covering inside of your brand content strategy so that you make sure that like your best people know it's your program they want to join and they're popping in. This next person doesn't even have a digital business. She runs a spa. So I'm helping her figure out how are we going to visually calibrate her event booth to reflect the unique energy of her spa. And so that's like more external rebrand, right? But then I'm a mindset coach too. So I caught it. I saw her saying like, I have to get them to my booth. And I was like, oh no, we need to clear that out. Because I have to get them to my booth makes you fucking weird, right? So I was like, how do we make sure we clear this out so that you're just showing up to that event from a really delicious, relaxed, calm, naturally embodied point of attraction? And it's been so fun. She like posted a picture of like the event and all the people that were like coming up to the booth that were like really drawn in. So it's so fun that when people get coaching and then they post in the community like, oh my gosh, and then this happened. It's really fun to just be in the energy of this constant flow of creation. The next one, coached on personal style and other elements of her aesthetics. So this is someone that knew she's kind of showing up just like soft and friendly, like she was taught to be a good girl. But she was like, wait, but I'm actually like also kind of a badass. And that's not reflected anywhere in any of my stuff. And I can see it from the type of clients I'm attracting. And actually, it's more like people are like, oh, like that's nice or that's inspirational, but they are not perceiving her as an expert. So we need to recalibrate stuff so that she's actually attracting in clients, not just people who are like, that's nice. This next one, we do mind and body stuff, right? We're really opening you to just like receive what wants to come through you in this program. And so this person had some like mental chatter around what she thought an ideal client was. So this was me actually dropping this client into her body to actually get an intuitive answer around it because I could tell she was way up in her head, right? So there's some things that you'll see like on the coaching calls, we stay really in the mental realms. And then there's some stuff when I can tell, I will drop the person in and we do work. I've even done energy clearings on calls. So it depends on where I see the stuck point in the client and we'll work on that. All right. This person is a beginner, right? So now we have on the same call, a beginner, a 100K earner and $1 million earner on the same call, which is one of the really fun things about this program. Like the diversity of just this work is such foundational. It's like the most important work you could do in your business. So it's just drawn in such a really strong group across income levels, across industries. And it's just really fun that we can all coexist together. And you're seeing that literally on the same call. And so this person was new in her business and was having thoughts about running her first webinar in 8 months. And we talked about both the energetics of this as well as like the strategic lens of how to build a client pipeline. And I had very strong thoughts about why she shouldn't be running webinars. And she got both the energetics and the business strategy feedback on that. This person is an energy worker, and she had a belief about how she had to perform on clients on social media to like get them to buy. And again, it was sort of like she came on thinking she was asking for one thing, and then I caught what it really was, and we cleared it. All right. The next type of membership event we have is peer portals. So this is an example of like when you're doing the curriculum, we'll have calls every month or two that are called peer portal calls, where you actually all come onto Zoom. I think the last call we had like 30 people on, which is super fun. Not like, I don't know, I guess at this point we're like hundreds of people, right? But like it was fun to have that many people drop in. And then I broke them off into Zoom rooms, and they worked on their brand content strategy. So they came in looking at what they had done in their curriculum, and then it was like a surprise mystery shopper. They had to read their last post to the group. And then the group was like, oh, can I see, is your brand positioning off? Are you doing what you said you wanted to do in your brand content? And where can I see you're a little bit off, right? And is it like an internal thought that we need to look at? Is there something else where you could have just communicated more clearly? And so it's really fun to just be able to like engage with people around the world that are all doing this work. It's super fun. All right, guest masterclasses and trainings. We just recently had in the only designer I have ever hired, that Catherine Morrison Coaching has ever hired, is a woman named Christy Cooper, and she has done some of our sales pages. So she came on to actually give a training, and you walked through the sales pages she created for us and why it worked, what she did from a design perspective, and the top 5 design techniques for sales pages that actually sell. And this was just a little clip I had from inside the membership where it was like, what are you working on this week? And someone was posting like, oh my gosh, I totally ate up all the fantastic and actionable advice that Christy offered this week in the guest workshop. And I designed my new services page for my visual branding business. And then this is her just communicating with another member about like, oh my gosh, this training was so good. This is what I took from it. This is what I'm implementing. So it's just really fun to have this constant stream of like, the value is always increasing, and then you're able to engage with members all around the world and like work like and be like, this is my site and this is what I implemented on this page based on what I learned in this guest training. All right, then we have trainings with me. So people have come on. It's so funny, actually. We did a survey and it was like, what kind of membership events do you want? And it was like 50-50. I think a lot of people join and they really love the way I teach. It helps things click for them in a way that like it doesn't with other people. And so I have really prioritized doing a lot more trainings. And the proof is in the pudding. Like the feedback that we get on, okay, like especially like the working with archetypal energy is probably one of the most powerful trainings that people are like, oh my gosh, like we have a lot of people that come in after having a spiritual awakening, and it's like stuff that they think is a little woo, and it's almost like they need to hear it from me to like become open to it. Right? We have some medicine women, some energy workers in the program, but for a lot of the women joining it, they're just coming into being purpose-led, to being soul-led, to really like thinking this is what I want consciously for my own life. And then we use spiritual tools, like they're made available to you if you want to do archetypal work or work with different types of energies to actually be able to become more attractive in the marketplace and call more clients in. This was another person just talking about how powerful the archetypal work is. So that's something that like I didn't intend to be something that people loved so much as part of the program, but I think for a lot of people, they've never done archetypal work before. And so it is, it sort of gets results a lot faster than something like mindset coaching. All right, get it done calls. It's exactly what it sounds like. You come in and we just like work on some part. You come in to either like, I'm going to work on my brand content strategy. I'm going to pull up Canva and I'm going to like, work on my visual design. And I open the room, we quietly work, and I make myself available if you have questions that you can ask me as you're literally implementing the brand alchemy work. You can ask me clarifying questions or get feedback during that get it done call through chat. And member mixers. So if you just want to get to know people, right? That's one of the most powerful parts of being parts of group programs is like meeting your next business bestie, meeting the next person you're going to collaborate with. We've literally had people just started a new business together that met inside of this program, right? So it's like, it's really beautiful what opens up because it's like, we're a vibe, right? Like we are, if you're attracted into this program, like you're a very particular kind of person, and then you get plugged into a worldwide community of people that like vibrate at this level with us, and the most beautiful opportunities arise because you plug into the community. All right. And you never miss an event because we have it in the portal. Like you legit can't miss it. It's like always right here for you. And you can also subscribe to the calendar. So you can just press a button and then every event will populate on your calendar as long as you're a paying member, and you'll just have it auto go onto your calendar so you never miss it. Also, every month you get a newsletter where we give you a sense of these are the hot takes, right? We have some people that like, they don't use the community as much. And maybe they're not necessarily even plugging into the hot takes, but they love then getting a rundown of like, these were all the questions that were answered and these are the timestamps and then the links. And they're like, damn, I need that one right now. Let me go click on it. So that's sent straight to your inbox so you have it. And then we also put our weekly magic makers on blast. So the people that are like going out, taking up space, they did the internal rebrand work, then they're presenting to large rooms, they're making moves, they're doing big things. It's super fun. And the upcoming events are always at the bottom of your monthly newsletter that you get when you join. Lastly, I think this is our last thing, our global community. It's such an incredible part of the program. You get a private global community of other soul-led, ambitious entrepreneurs doing this work inside of you. And I really love just what you can see just in these photos, right? Like we have actual like women that train with shamans. They're working deep in the jungles with plant medicine. We have people who are like super power athletes. Like I was literally just working with her on like she's going to host an event. I'm like, that is not a retreat. That is the wrong word, right? For your brand. We need to like really think of what we're going to name it. And there's no like, you have to be this way to be here. It's just, you have to be your highest, fullest expression. And everyone energetically is so different, but we're all like, that's the whole culture is we're cheering you on as you calibrate to taking up more space in the world, being more highly visible and doing the damn thing. This is also, I want to tell this story. This is my client Clover and my client Cheryl, who are in Brand Alchemy, and they posted this inside. One of them lives in Canada and one of them lives in Asia. They met inside the program. And then when they were traveling, one of them was traveling in the other person's country. And just from knowing each other inside this program, they went and got brunch and then posted it in the group. Like, it's so fun to see the relationships, the businesses that have been started, the business besties, all of that when you plug into a group of people that operate at this level. All right, deep community connection comes through weekly celebrations. So every Friday we have a thread where you are encouraged to take up space, brag, be seen. There's nothing too big or too small. And so people are saying like, okay, I finished my lead magnet. I had 3 people express interest in my offer. I went to these networking events. I showed up in my best energy. I found people to collaborate with. I booked my first speaking engagement. I had a consult call. Like people are showing up, doing the work, clearing the resistance, and taking up more and more space and signing clients faster and faster. This is one of my clients who led a vision board workshop that sold out in 48 hours. And here she talks about this. I have completely, in the last year, I have completely transformed how I physically take up space and show up as a compassionate guide and powerful leader. This really felt like a culmination of healing and growth, a true butterfly moment, simmering in gratitude. Again, you'll see this. This is just from the private community. Like people are like, I feel the butterfly. Like this is a butterfly moment. And it's so beautiful to just be in a space where it's just like constantly people coming out of their cocoons and spreading their wings and doing bigger things in the world. All right, this person went and presented to 40 entrepreneurs. They received a request out of the blue for a calendar consult, just finished her photo shoot, and she's gotten replies from a newsletter she wasn't getting before, telling people how much they love her content. She was hiding from being herself. She's her, she's an entrepreneur. Damn. Then I love how it's like just in the weekly thread when like, this is like, these are literally just screenshots from the community of like from the weekly celebration thread. And then people connecting of like, okay, this is what I did this week. Showing up with ease, not in hustle, I'm relaxed, I'm showing up in ease, and I'm getting better results than ever before. And then this person is like, oh my gosh, this is genius. How you laid out the steps, I'm borrowing this. So it's not just a thread to celebrate each other. You go there and you get ideas, right? It's just this constant hum and buzz of energy. And it doesn't just look and feel good. This work leads to concrete results, as if you haven't noticed from all of the screenshots we've been going through. I just wanted to tell a few stories of people who have joined the program. This is my client, Kirsten. She's on episode 103 of the Ascension Through Entrepreneurship podcast, where I interviewed some of the people who joined the program to go from aligning themselves from 6 figures to 7 figures. So Kirsten joined and did the brand work and then made basically her entire last launch in the first 4 days of her next one. And it used to be people were like, oh, I think I need to do this email thing. I think I've got to do it. And then people are like excited to buy. She's selling more. People are excited to buy. And they're like, oh my gosh, the energy, the vibe, the branding, I can't wait. I can't wait to learn this work from you. My client Clover, who, if you remember me talking about the energetic thirst traps training, she used the work. She basically combined we talk about origin story and how you talk about yourself in one of the trainings. And then I have a training on energetic thirst traps and how to create dynamic video content. And she combined those two. She created one viral post, and honestly, it's like continued to sort of compound. Like she learned so much from those two trainings, the brand content strategy training. She's been in business. She started 8 years ago. When she joined, she had 1,300 followers on Instagram. And I just checked, she now has over 22,000 followers in 2 months, showing us it doesn't take time. It just takes alignment. And you can hear her story on episode 175 of the Ascension Through Entrepreneurship podcast. And I loved, she talked about how she had had so much trouble finding a program, a membership that combines energetics, mindset, and strategy all together. When I say it's like holistic, like no other place on earth, I mean it. Like when I think it was like Nicole's thing was like, trust me, I'm a program junkie. There's nothing else like this. There's nothing else like this on the internet. And so I think it was like, actually, you saw Clover just with Cheryl a couple of things back, right? Out to brunch. And so not only did she get the curriculum that helps her combine all of those parts of herself, but now she also has the people that she can come into the community that we all sort of operate this way. We get it. And we're all doing business a little bit differently. And we're all having magnificent success along the way. This is my client, Amy, who you can hear on episode 105 of the Ascension Through Entrepreneurship podcast. This actually isn't, I think before I had a screenshot of someone from their 9-to-5 saying they like killed off their 9-to-5 identity. That actually wasn't Amy's screenshot, but she very much joined when she was like, I had to kill off this corporate identity. And I had no idea how deeply rooted it was inside of me. She did the internal rebrand work and signed 15 clients in her first year of business. She said, I couldn't have done it without this program. Oh my gosh, this is Sarah Beth. We've got a few slides dedicated to Sarah Beth. She's in episode 157 of the Ascension Through Entrepreneurship podcast. She had been in business for years, pushing, hustling, grinding. She was saying she thought she had to take massive action. She legitimately was like destroying her health. Like her physical health was beginning to get compromised because she was pushing herself so hard. She joined the Brand Alchemy membership and started feeling alignment, flow, ease, and collapsed her timeline, has signed more clients than ever before. So this is like, she was celebrating here, my best creative expression workshop ever, second in a row that's been sold out. Like she's attracting in better people. She feels super aligned, flow state, right? So like went from like hustle, grind, no results to flow, ease, much better results. And one of the things that I love is, this is actually, okay. So here she is talking about, she started a new business with a member she met inside the Accelerator. So that's one thing we're celebrating. But then on the other side, you're going to notice then she's talking about how she publicly announced that on her social media. And then her former coach and mentor from corporate reached out to her to ask for guidance on getting a business going. Her former coach and mentor from corporate is now coming to her for help. And guess what? She's like, whoa, I guess I've gotten to 0 fucks. Now let's have a throwback to the last screenshot. It was Sarah Beth when I told you a little bit ago about the person that posted about welcoming death into her identity shift. She joined Brand Alchemy talking about the thank you card from her boss that was sitting on her desk. She destroyed it all, killed it all from within herself, just became a business owner. And now that same person's reaching out asking, can you help me? Like, this is literally what becomes possible when you shift your identity at this deep of a level that brand alchemy opens up for people. This is my client, Lindsay Mango. She joined, she had basically had herself in an environment that was like a mastermind that was not a fit for her energetics. And she was super stuck. Her business, I forget if it was at 400,000 or 500,000 a year. She joined the Accelerator to really come into alignment. And within a month, what did she say? Yeah, she made 150, after feeling super stuck for years, made $150,000 in a month and generated $200,000 and counting in the last 2 months. And what's more important is that she feels free and totally on fire for her business again, which had been missing for a while, AKA like years, right? Like, this stuff can shift fast. And this is my client, DL. I have found that all of the brand things that Catherine teaches, it just shortens my sales process. I'm able to convert so much quicker and faster because people come on sales calls, they interact with my launches, and they're like, I know the exact type of coach you are, and I know I'm looking for someone specifically like you. That is what you will hear again and again and again from the people from they're starting at ground zero or they're going to multiple millions. Like, that is the feedback you will consistently hear. Flow, alignment, ease, better results, better clients. And I'm super proud to say, I'm not just like, oh, these are like the 5 people. Actually, I probably showed like dozens of people through this. But literally, from the time we've opened, we run surveys, 100% client satisfaction since opening. That's not me with like my jazz hands. Like, we legitimately run surveys. We send out client surveys annually. We have not had not one single person submit the survey and said that they were not happy with their investment. And so I contributed some of the, if you're happy with your investment, why? Some of the responses we've gotten. It was the first step to my spiritual awakening. I feel more like me than ever. I've created more than $3,000 worth of value. I'm in much deeper connection with myself. Shame as a lifestyle has been dissolved. Like, what? To never have shame ever again? That's fucking worth it. I like that this person mentioned, I remember, if you show up and you make yourself known in the room, I remember you, I remember what you do. Like, you will see me, right? I'm available to have relationships with my clients. This person was struggling because they were just trying to use mindset coaching and they were like, we're stuck in a paper bag. She knew it had an energetics component, but she didn't know how to shift it. And joining Brand Alchemy shifted it all for her. This person doubled their investment. They're doing things their way. This person, I'm happier being me. I learn more each time I revisit stuff. Like, I love this. It's like just everything, everything, I keep coming back to it and I keep getting more and more every time I come back to it. This one I love. I would have paid more. Over delivery is the understatement of the century. What a way to be the example. And remember, this is a membership. So I really like to think of the Brand Alchemy Accelerator. It's like a gym, right? You don't join a gym and freak out if you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like go to every Zumba class or every yoga class. Like, you don't join a gym unless you're going to work out on every single weight machine every time you go and take every single class, right? That'd be super overwhelming, right? You join a gym so that you have access to everything you want for your physical health. So my husband and I, we have gym memberships. We go to the same gym. We do very different things. I like the Zumba classes. He has never taken a Zumba class. He uses more of those free weights. I do not ever touch the free weights, right? And so when you join the Brand Alchemy Accelerator, it's not from the lens of like, oh my God, like, it's sort of like, how can you manage yourself in this much abundance, this much support, this much, like, there's so many incredible things. And every person is going to come to it and recognize there's different parts of the membership that are the exact next thing they need, right? We have had some people come in and never touch the internal rebrand because they feel like they've got that sort of part scooped out, and they use all the external rebrand stuff and like collapse their timeline and triple their next launch or whatever the thing is, right? There's some people that literally never submit a hot take themselves, but then they post and they're like, I'm learning so much from just like listening to them. Right? There's some people that love going to the peer portals, but they don't come to the get it done calls, right? So every single person, it is like a gym. Like, you're going to feel into like, this is the part of the membership that I want to utilize to really like amplify for me personally. This is the thing I need. Which otherwise I think if you join and it was from the mentality of like, I have to work out on every machine and I have to take every class, like you would probably, it would actually be so much abundance, it would trigger your scarcity, right? Like there's not enough time, like there's not enough whatever. And it's so interesting to have a membership that has this much abundance to see. It's just like, no matter where you go, there you are again. If you have fundamental scarcity stuff, like clearing that out and just allowing yourself to wash in abundance and receive so much abundance is actually a really powerful transformation you can get from joining this membership. All right, so let's talk about it. The price for a 6-month membership, which includes everything we just spent a long time talking about, is only $19.97. The price for 12 months is $3,500. And when people have asked like which one is for me, I think there's two things. One is if you just feel like you're a little bit off, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I know if I got this, this, and this, it would like really like create this awesome momentum in my business. You could just swing for 6 months. If you're someone who's at the beginning of your business and you're like, oh my gosh, I know I have like a big sort of shift to make, maybe going from an employee to a business owner, or you know that you're being called to step into like a much bigger level and you can like feel, you're like, I just really want to make one decision where I know I have that support for like the whole thing all the way through. I think 12 months is probably, for me personally, I mean, listen, I love to support myself. So I like making one decision and just knowing like, oh my gosh, I can feel my nervous system relax. I know I'm going to have the support for this entire duration. I think another thing that I've noticed is I think some people, especially because we run to cold traffic, like sometimes it's like, if you don't know me, you might even have an intuitive yes, but you're like, I kind of want to try it first. Just go for the 6 months to start. You can always renew, right? It is just the 12-month membership. It is a better value if you know that you're like, I want to make that one decision. It's a nice way to save some money if you know you want to have that level of support and abundance for an entire year. And you can join at catherinemorrisoncoaching.com/branding. And you've unlocked a special invitation. So a Sacral Yes bonus for all of you who join the membership in the next 7 days. You'll actually get full access to the marketplace for the duration of your Brand Alchemy membership. So as long as you are a paying member of the Brand Alchemy Accelerator, you have snagged yourself access to the marketplace, which is a mini mind I recently ran, and people were like minds blown. The number of people that were like, oh my gosh, I feel like I joined programs and it's like super rah, but I don't learn anything. And like my business acumen doesn't increase. Like I don't know better how to actually run a business. Like my background was scaling 8 and 9 figure tech companies, and the marketplace is really that. It's like when I was a business consultant for a lot of ad tech companies, the kinds of things I did to build out their monetization strategy and the things that I would like think through from the marketplace. Like I had no mindset tools. I just had really good business strategy. And so the marketplace is very much, it's such a beautiful complement because this is like a lot of the strategy of the who of the brand. And then this is such a delicious amount of tangible, tactical, very actionable, you'll know exactly what to do next, business strategy stuff. And to just give you a sense of what that is. It's an 8-module deep dive. We cover marketing platforms. What's the best marketing platforms to be on today? And if you're already established on a marketing platform and you think it's saturated and you're having trouble growing, we cover how you can find the little pieces of how to like find the little ways to grow even on saturated platforms. We cover artificial intelligence, including my company's AI tech stack, how we use it, and a detailed ChatGPT guide that you get from joining to walk you through all of the stuff. Like you will save so much time by just implementing what we go through in that workshop. We talk about economic cycles, and sometimes your offers need to change. It's not just your thoughts and your energy. Sometimes actually the marketplace changes and you need to adjust your messaging. You need to adjust your offers. And we cover exactly how to know, like how to track what's happening with buyer behavior. And then we talk about how to know what needs to shift so that you know how you can keep signing clients and keep growing, even if things start to shift, whether it's a macroeconomic contraction or if there's something more in your industry that's happening. We also cover the 8 different resource types buyers and sellers trade in marketplaces. Money is only one resource type. This was sort of like a ninja move I would use when I was the director of business development, scaling these 8 and 9 figure companies. But knowing how to work with other resource types allows you, when everyone else is like, oh, I just got to get the monies. And then they're like, sort of like, right? Like you can actually, you're playing, like everyone else is playing checkers and you're playing chess, right? So it gives you the sort of what is the board of what that is so that you're able to build faster and more strategically in a way that creates win-wins for you, your clients, and the market. And how to sort of future-proof your business, how to stay ahead of things. So that's the Sacral Yes Bonus. That's a sort of peek into what the marketplace covers. And you have the next 7 days to secure your bonus by joining the membership. And you can do that at catherinemorrisoncoaching.com/branding. And now I'm open to questions. My goodness, I talked for longer than I anticipated. All right, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I'm going to take a drink of water, and then I'm going to go for questions. So, whew, I'm kind of proud of myself. All right, so, all right, will I get the opportunity to ask clarifying questions or get feedback from you as I implement the curriculum? Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. Some people you might have cycled in and out, right? But when you join, there's something, if you weren't here for the weekly hot takes, we have a component of the membership called the weekly hot takes. So you will have links to that are sent in the monthly newsletter. They're inside the membership. You just click on that. You tell us what part of the curriculum you have a question about or that you want feedback on, how it applies to your business. You just write in your question, and then we will timestamp the responses, and then you can just go in, you can see where your question got asked, you can see the exact timestamp, just click exactly there and get your answer like that. I've just tried to, as there's just been more and more programs, and there's like so many, there can just be, if you're like a program junkie like me, there are gonna be so many hours of calls, and I really want you all being able to like move fast. If you want just this answered, you get the answer, you're able to keep moving. Can I split the 3,500 between 2 different credit cards? Yes. It's so funny. I feel like I had some open houses recently and I always forget. I just need to ask my team. I'm not sure if you can do it directly from the checkout page, but if you go to it and it's not available just on the checkout page to split it, just email support@catherinemorrisoncoaching.com and they'll help you whatever you need. We've had people like international people that needed to do bank transfers. Like we recognize that like America, I think there's like credit cards is a very common thing, but we have a global community, right? So whether it's like splitting payment or whether it's like a unique thing with payment, just reach out to support. They are more than happy to help you. Nicole, I just joined. I have felt an up level wanting to come through and have literally felt stuck with how to go from caterpillar to butterfly. This is it. Thank you. Welcome to the Accelerator. We can't wait to have you. We actually have a training coming up on Monday, so make sure you join us for that. I would love to meet you there. Oh my gosh, so fun. All right, I saw one of the screenshots mention doing a meditation from a previous call. Is this a resource we have access to in the membership? Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I didn't even, you would think after talking for an hour and a half and showing you everything that I wouldn't have missed something, but I missed that. Yes, we have dozens of embodiment practices and meditations that are, I ran calls for like 2 years. And so we have a full list with timestamps of this is something where we did an embodiment practice around creating safety in your body around your pricing. Like, so you can go through, it's just page after page after page around creating safety to show up on video. So like everything we cover in the curriculum, there's an embodiment practice that goes with it to allow you to show up more powerfully on video, to calibrate to your pricing, to be comfortable being highly visible, like to connect with your future self, like legit opening up every one of your chakras and like pulling energy in, right? Like we have all kinds of things, literally dozens and dozens. And I can't believe I didn't mention it, but yes, when you join, you also have access to those. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I missed that. Being totally honest, I really want to join, but my brain is telling me this looks way too fun and I need to focus on the serious business building stuff if I want to seriously grow. I know this is just a thought, but I can't seem to find my way out. Help. I don't know how long you've been here, but if you like heard, I mean, I feel like if you even, we will send a replay, you could go back and watch like just seeing the client success stories so many people talk about. I thought I had to push. I thought I had to hustle. I thought it had to be this way. And it really is, I'm a rising Capricorn, so I love business strategy. You will get tangible step-by-step everything. But I also have an energy of lightness and play to me that I actually think is one of the things that I have transmitted into this program that makes it really magical for people to get better results, feeling more easeful, feeling more playful. And that is, we have a training called the Boxes That Bind. It's inside the internal rebrand section. But that's something that like when you join, I would start with the boxes that bind and let's start to unwind that, because that's literally an optional belief, right? Like serious business building stuff. Actually, it's funny. I'm thinking I have a poster in my house downstairs in my bathroom that it's an Oscar Wilde quote, and it says, "Life is too important to be taken seriously." And I think it's that, right? I think a lot of people think like business, serious, gray cubicle suits. And like, that's why people start businesses and they make businesses they hate, because they're building the business from the conditioned mind, right? Versus this is we scoop all of that out. We get clear on who you are, your unique magic. And of course, when you're in that zone, you feel easeful. You might feel a little nervous showing up that way at first, right? But like it feels like flow. It feels like alignment. It feels fun. It feels playful, and you get better results in business. That's like, if you watch all of the client success, right? Okay, I think actually Kirsten Roldan, who tripled her launch, right? And she was in a $600,000 business. She talks about how I was selling my email thing, like, yeah, you need email. Email's really important. And then all she did was bring lightness and fun and play. Like she showed up the way she wanted to and tripled her launch, right? So I think it really is for you to just hold in your awareness, oh, I've been conditioned with this thought. And actually it's lowering my energy. It's kind of probably making you hate your business day to day. And you would get better results if you allowed something like this to actually be the way that you decided to create. Like you would get faster results and you would get better results, is what I would say about that. And feel free to message back if there's something else coming up for you. I'm deciding between this or hiring a one-on-one coach. Any guidance on what to consider? Let me take a sip and think about it. I mean, I don't know if you're saying a mindset coach or a business coach, because I think they're kind of different. Like if you're a business coach is often, if they're doing more strategy, or are they doing strategy and mindset? Like, first of all, I think we're covering all of that. So are you hiring a one-on-one person who like has mind, body, soul awareness and has the tools for all of those things and is gonna, I don't know, I can't imagine that it would be that comprehensive. Maybe, right? But maybe you're looking at, here's where I think actually, in general, I would think 99.5% of the time, joining here would be a better move. But if you're in a situation where you are genuinely almost, I would call it like non-functioning, right? Where you're like really having trouble showing up. And the idea of like putting yourself into a container of people that would like love you and support you, and they're all doing incredible things every week and you're all supporting each other and growing. If that actually feels like it would shut you down, right? I would think there's probably like trauma work to do. And I'm trauma informed, but I am not a deep trauma. That's not my expertise, right? So if it's something where it's like you're at a point where it's almost like you are not showing up in your business and you're really having trouble, I would recommend something like a therapist, maybe a somatic experiencing practitioner, or someone has tools more there. And then once, if you're working one-on-one with something like that, get yourself to functioning, and then join the Brand Alchemy Accelerator once you're at the point where it's like, it might feel like a little like, ooh, like nervous. Like you might feel nervous putting yourself into like so much abundance, so much support, so much like, I don't know, like we are this energy, where you could teach your body to calibrate to that and allow that much fun, that much safety, that much like visibility, attracting in that many clients, right? There might be a little bit of one-on-one work for people who are like really feel like there's something. like there's a saying, like, if it's hysterical, it's historical. If there's something like really that like triggers you, I would suggest someone who's more trauma trained before you join the accelerator. Oh my God, I just joined. Welcome, Tara. I was already pretty much a yes. And then when you started talking about the office work, I felt a full body yes rise up in my body. Can't wait to get started. Welcome to the accelerator. Yeah, it's so funny because a lot of people, when I like talk about the office work, they're like, wait, what does that have to do with brand? But like, they don't understand how holistically, like I've thought through every layer of you. And it's almost been one of the most surprising things to me since opening the membership, the number of people when they allow their intuition to guide them, because their brain might be like, go do the brand content strategy module, right? But when they allow their intuition, it's like there's something, go do the office work first. And we've had some people create some of the most incredible results from doing the office work and what that opens up in them energetically, the way that they're then calibrating and attracting in better clients. Like, it's almost like I'm even surprised by how potent that work is. And like, I've done it. Like, I love Ogle. She's a very dear friend. But yeah, it's almost like it has even surprised me how that's been almost like, it's like a cult favorite. Like, so many people in the accelerator like really love that work. All right, can you tell me more about the visual design part of the curriculum? I'm constantly frustrated with my stuff because as a consumer, I'm a design snob, but I know I just lack the skill to design myself. Like my eye can see it looks bad, but I don't know how to fix it. Does that make sense? Would this solve for that? Oh my gosh, I love this. And yes, 100% joining will solve for this. We cover and the up-leveling your visual brand identity, it's like you learn the 6 elements of visual design. And to the point where we've had people where, one, they just use Canva and start making stuff that looks like way better, start stopping the scroll for better people. Like, they really just get better results from just DIYing it. But because we have a lot of people who are joining at like $500,000, $1 million businesses, they're oftentimes wanting to hire that out. Like, they're not wanting to do it themselves. So either like they're actually like having their team learn it, or they're hiring a designer to do it. And they've said joining and doing that work, like taking that training, has given them the eye, because yeah, you can hire it out, but if you can't communicate, if a designer gives you an initial round of stuff and you can't communicate what's off and why it's off, they can't fix it, right? It's just like, I don't like it. It's like, why don't you like it? I don't know. It's just not me, right? And so they have said that like taking that training has allowed them, even when they're hiring it out, to say this part is off and this part is off and this part is off and this is why. And like, here's a couple ideas I have, but you're the designer, so you tell me. And so they've just said, like, even from buying design services, the designs they get back are so much better because they can sort of come to the table as someone that has some level of awareness around their own visual brand and what they want as consumers, right? So I think you even heard, we have one person that joined thinking she wanted to be a coach. Now she's literally a visual designer from how much she learned inside of the container. So 100%, you will absolutely love this if that's where you're at. When does it start? It's an evergreen program. It starts today. So it's a membership. It's open all the time. And so you have 7 days to secure your bonus, right? If you want the bonus for joining. But it starts as an evergreen program. So you can choose, either you want to come join us today and have it for 6 months. You can join today and pick 12 months, but it's like evergreen. So we have like people from all over the world, like constantly coming in, doing this work. And so if you know you're like feeling drawn in, it starts today. All right. I haven't technically started my business yet. Would this be a good first program to get me going? Yes. So this is like, so much about this is learning to take up space, right? And I've mentioned like there's quite a few actually even client success stories of people who use this to like scoop out their employee identity and like own themselves as business owners. Actually, if you were here for the beginning, I told the story about my client Monica, who like she had never even made an offer before. She wasn't allowing herself to show up. And then she got like flown off to like this event to like win a national award because she just started like putting herself out there, right? So before she ever even signed her first client, she started marketing herself in a way that attracted in this industry like credential that has now like part of like what she can use as her credibility, right, in her field, which I think is really, really cool. So if you're someone that is like, and here's the other thing I'll say is like, whenever someone's not sure what their offer is or even what they want to do, the right answer is always build a brand. Start with brand. Like if you think about anyone in, like think about Lady Gaga, right? Lady Gaga was a music artist, and then she's still doing music, but then she started a makeup line and it went to multiple millions in a single year. Why was she able to do that? Because she had a personal brand. Lady Gaga had a personal brand where no one was surprised when Lady Gaga opened a makeup company, right? And so I think the answer is like you build a personal brand that's big enough to hold all of you. And then you just start to see you're in call and response with the marketplace and you're starting to have more conversations with people. And it's almost like your first offer or what you want to be selling can almost become clearer because you start to build a brand and make yourself known. If you do the aligned content strategy work, right? You're like, I want to be known for this, this, and this. We get clear on what that is. You start marketing from that perspective. And it's going to be like a Lady Gaga move, right? Like you could be selling music or you could be selling makeup and you will be equally successful with either because you have a personal brand that's big enough to wrap it all around, is what I would say about that. We've actually even had people that didn't even want to run a business. We have, I think just one person right now that I know of, but they're an employee, but they have a career as a speaker. So it's sort of like a side income, but they don't even want to be an entrepreneur, but they want to be an established speaker. So they join to get more comfortable speaking on large stages, to representing themselves and all that kind of stuff. So totally, totally. All right. This is the last question I have in right now. Okay. Okay. You're curious about, you heard this person's in a larger business and they're asking, would this teach my team how to do the visual design? It depends on what you're looking for. And I do think we're going to have stuff like I'm going to have my content person in like in a few months actually teaching like how are we using CapCut? How are we using some of the tools that we're using? I guess you could, yeah, as long as you're not looking for something like I want them to be like a visual designer I would hire. Like we hired a person, it's $3,000 a sales page, right? So like her background, she's been a designer for like 20 years, right? So what she's going to be able to create very quickly for us is different. Then yeah, I think it's sort of like the caliber. I would kind of want to talk to you. So you can email in support or we can get in touch. I would say like, what are you looking for? I'd be interested to almost like see your stuff and like hear what you're looking to transition it to visually. Because if you're in a multiple six-figure business that's large enough to hold a team, I don't know. I think it could work depending on what your visual brand is now. All right, Victoria, I'm in. I was a yes before coming, but all of this has just made me more excited to plug into the community and dive into the curriculum. Welcome, Victoria. Oh my goodness. So it's so fun. I'm very excited that you guys are all coming in. It is just like, when I say like, it's the best membership on the internet. And like, it's so interesting. I feel like there's been this like sense, I've been in the coaching industry now for close to 5 years. And I feel like there's almost been this like fallout, like a little kerfuffle, right, in the industry. And to be someone like me that can stand solid and say, literally, since this membership has opened, we have data, we have client data that says not a single person has ever said they're dissatisfied with their investment. That makes me really fucking proud, right? The brand reputation that my company holds because of our delivery, I could cry now, right? But I take client delivery very seriously. I take your transformation very seriously. And I have done, I don't work tirelessly. I rest, I luxuriate in bubble baths, but I have a lot of fun, but I take what I create for you all really, really seriously. And I am so proud of the results people get from this program, from the 100% client satisfaction rate since joining. And I cannot wait to see more of you inside. So that looks like it is all for today. This went longer than I anticipated. Thank you all for being here. If you have any other questions, do not hesitate to reach out to support@catherinemorrisoncoaching.com. And I'll see you inside the membership. I love you all so much. Bye.